What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. I'm back from my vacation and I have a bone to pick with Destiny, and that is regarding last week's TWID or TWAB, where they talk about that they're raising the Pinnacle cap. And so I was busy on my holiday and stuff, basically just got back, so I haven't seen any videos, but I did see reaction on Twitter and stuff. And yeah, people aren't happy. And this is a good example. It says, forcing players back into a pointless power grind we begged to have removed ain't the way to keep us playing. I couldn't even get excited for the Titan buffs because this was on my mind the entire time I read the TWAB. That's exactly what happened to me. So yeah, if you're not a fan of my channel or you don't really follow me or whatever, that's fine. But I was on vacation and I was like, oh, the TWID's out. So I read it like a day or two later. And I read this and I was absolutely floored. I thought we were done with this. And yeah, I was super disappointed. And to be honest, it completely deflated me reading the rest of this. Like normally, I kind of remember what they talk about in the TWABs and all this stuff. But looking at it now, like none of this really stuck in my memory because I was just pissed off about the light level changes. Like genuinely, this is such a stupid change, but I'm going to talk about why it's stupid. Because the game has changed a lot since power level has really mattered, or light level, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, in most MMO RPGs, whatever, like as you progress and your light level or power level or stats or whatever go up, you can feel meaningfully stronger in the game, which is nice. And Destiny used to feel that way. If you remember Forever 29, like if you're an OG D1 player, you know that like it was hard to hit level 30, and when you did, your character felt stronger, their guns hit harder. It was meaningful. And then fast forward to like Crota, I remember Leopard's team, I think somebody went and got higher power level on the day one raid so that they could take down Crota easier with the sword because light level mattered. So where we are in the game now, light level no longer matters. So here I have like duality pulled up, and I'm going to talk about this later with the dungeons because we have a new dungeon coming out next season. But basically, if we go to Grandmasters, it's 2020, right? So back in the day, you could launch if I just go to Nightfall. So we have this, we've got Expert, Master, 2010. So back in the day, you could over level Master content. And this was actually significant because way back when I kind of started my channel, I was doing solo Lost Sector guides. And it was really hard to do those guides actually, because the later I got in the season, the stronger I was. So if I was giving advice to someone, it's like, okay, well, this strategy works, but I can like two-shot the barrier shield with Ariana's Vow, where if you're lower light level, you're going to be three-shotting it. But the game no longer matters, or like light level no longer matters in the game for that. If you're Master, you are locked at a power delta of -20. I believe Expert is -15 and Grandmaster is -25. But then this 2020, again, I'm no expert on power deltas. There's a guy on Twitter, Mossy Max, check him out. He does really good breakdowns of like all things sandbox related. So I don't 100% know like what's happening with the power delta, but I do know that in Grandmasters, you can be as low as -40 and still launch the activity, where I could be freaking level 2100, but I'm going to be capped still at -25, or maybe it's -20, because they did make a change recently that you can like sort of over level Grandmasters slightly if you like grind your ass off. But again, the point I'm trying to make is that doesn't matter in the game anymore because everything is locked. And then talking about the dungeons, like I said, they're releasing a new dungeon next season, and there's going to be a contest mode, which is fine. But again, you're never going to be able to over level that contest mode, which I think is great. I love that the game's gone in that direction, and I'll touch on that in a second. But what I do want to talk about is for a solo flawless for Warlord's Ruin, it's not showing there. That's why I had duality pulled up. But this was another thing that Salta Greppo has talked about at length, is it's really frustrating having these and tied to artifact power and stuff, because next season the Pinnacle floor or whatever, or the Pinnacle max is 2010. So if that dungeon releases at like 2010, then you're not doing max damage until you're something like 2030 or 2035 light. Something like that when it's a 2010 power cap or power delta, whatever. But right now, we haven't had a new dungeon release since the final shape, since the power level was raised. So I can't really show you that example in game. But what this means is for someone like me, I love making solo flawless guides. You know that if you're a fan of my channel. I love solo flawlessing dungeons is my favorite thing like to do in Destiny. I love just coming up with different strats, and yeah, I really like it, especially new dungeons. So that's fine that they're doing the contest mode dungeon. I'm kind of curious about how that's going to work, but it would be nice if it was a selectable difficulty, because now I'm going to, and again, this is totally a me problem, but I'm going to have to delay my solo flawless guide because I'm not going to be able to give people proper strats because it's going to be on contest mode for that weekend. But then when contest mode goes away, say my power level, so say I get up to like 2003 gear score and I'm like plus 10 artifact. So I'm going to be 2013 light level, and say the base light level is 2000, just say. So I'm 13 above, but in Destiny, you can over level to like 20 or 25. Again, Salted Grepo has talked about this and how annoying it is, because now in a solo flawless dungeon, you're not doing the max damage you should be. And again, that's fine if Destiny is centered around as you progress and get your light level higher, you feel stronger. So when you go to do that dungeon in the future, if you grind your ass off, it's going to be easier for you. And that's how lots of games like World of Warcraft and Diablo and all these games work. If you level your character up, Elden Ring's a great example. People were talking about Shadow of the Erd Tree and how hard it felt, but it's because they weren't grinding. Sorry, I haven't played Elden Ring, but I do follow like gaming discourse, so I don't know exactly. But basically there was things you could get to make your character stronger, and then the game felt a little easier. But until people did that, they were just getting shat on by these bosses because they didn't progress their character like many RPG games do. And again, that's fine, but Destiny's having an identity crisis, I think. So I made a video. I'm going to pull this over as well. Sorry, I had to make an edit because I wanted to talk about a video I made in the past, but when I pulled it over, it went away. But basically, I made a video 4 months ago why Destiny 2 is better than ever, and I said Lightfall was great and I'm tired of pretending it wasn't. And the biggest reason for me, well, besides like sandbox changes like Strand and this and that, is because they did away with power level, basically, as I've just talked about, by putting in things like contest mode and capping light level. So now light level doesn't matter. We could literally be 0 light and that could be the basis. And then when you do a Grandmaster, you're minus 25 under light. And when you do Master stuff, you're minus 20, because that's basically how it works. But how Destiny is doing it is they just shoehorn in this light level. So now you have to grind for grind's sake. There's no fun to it. There's nothing like innovative about it. Or it didn't feel too bad in the final shape because we were just playing the final shape. So we were leveling naturally. And that is how a good video game should be designed, that you're leveling up naturally. You don't have to artificially grind your power up. But with this change, that's exactly what's going to happen, which I'll go through in a second. But then the other thing is I made another video, which I had tried to cut to. This was close to 2 years ago now. This is just how YouTube works, but here's 2 years ago. So this was like October, November. I talked about why Destiny 2 sucks now, and I say Bungie does not respect your time, but they greatly value it. And it was just talking about, I think it was Season of the Plunder. There was so much time gating fucking bullshit, which, speaking of that, I'm probably going to make another video on that, talking about episodes and how they're just basically an excuse to do more time gating. Look, 15 weeks of these, and many of these aren't retroactive. So you've played your ass off. You've defeated how many Guardians in the Crucible with hand cannons, but none of that's retroactive. That's just to keep you playing after week 14 so you can get a little bit of Bright Dust and XP that you no longer need. Again, I might go on a whole different tangent in a whole nother video about that, but I want to keep it on the light level and just talk about how these things don't matter. But the reason I said Destiny 2 is the best it's ever been, and I do still agree with that in some senses, but they're regressing hugely with this power change, because now what I've loved for the past few seasons where I don't have to grind. I can just jump into the seasonal storyline as I want. Again, I'm not done because I went on holidays and whatever. But yeah, I can just play the new content, and they're releasing entire acts next season right away. So it's like you could have, day one, you could have jumped into the new act, finished the whole new act, then just play whatever you want. Say you're a Crucible guy, you jump into the Crucible, you're grinding out the seasonal weapons, doing seasonal stuff. Now we have to worry about the stupid light level grind. So now I'm going to be playing Salvation's Edge, which I've beat like 20 times. I have every crafted pattern. I have no reason to play it, but it's the greatest way to get Pinnacle sources because I think there's like 5 Pinnacle drops. This is Excision, sorry. So Salvation's Edge, it's a Pinnacle activity. So yeah, now I'm going to be doing this raid, which takes like at least an hour with a pretty competent team, if not longer. And then I'm going to want to do it on 3 characters and I have to min-max. So when I want to just jump in and play on my Warlock, now it's like, oh, sorry, man, I can't run the dungeon or the raid on my Warlock. I already did it on my Titan, blah, blah, blah. It just keeps you from playing what you want when you want, which fucking pisses me off. I've talked about countless times in different videos how what makes games great and where Destiny has become better is by giving players agency. I talked about in my retrospective on all the Destiny seasons, why Menagerie was so good is because players had agency and control over their drops. And even there was drop protection because you could focus the Chalice to drop a cloak. And that was another thing that people have talked about in some of these tweets, is how there's no drop protection. So I've gone literally 3 weeks before where all I needed was a pair of boots to hit max light, and I never got it. Where if I had that drop protection or like focusing like we had in Menagerie, I could have ran 1 heroic Menagerie with my Chalice centered to boots, and I wouldn't have had to run 3 weeks of Pinnacles. And now let's talk about Pinnacles for a fucking sec, because like some aren't bad, but if we go to Vanguard and we go to Vanguard Ops, how do I see? Sorry, all this stuff changes. Oh yeah, so now it's a powerful gear tier 1. So I don't even know the Pinnacles anymore. So Vanguard Ops, it used to be if you did like 3 Vanguard Ops, you'd get a Pinnacle, and it was a +1 Pinnacle. And then if you did 3 Gambit games, it was also a +1 Pinnacle. So maybe this point isn't very great what I was about to say, but I was going to say, so I'm just going to be grinding Gambit and Vanguard strikes that I've done literally thousands of times for nothing. But actually, I guess I don't have to, because it's only dropping powerful gear now, not Pinnacle gear. So now I'm going to have to figure out what are the Pinnacle drops. This one is a Pinnacle drop. And again, like these missions aren't bad. These like co-op campaign missions or the focus mission, whatever they call it. And Dual Destiny is probably a Pinnacle. And what are these? Powerful gear tier 3. So yeah, if we go to... Sorry, this is unscripted. I just wanted to rant a little bit because I'm pretty annoyed by this change. So this is a Prime Engram, I guess, the Pathfinder. So yeah, I don't even know all the Pinnacle sources. Seems like there may not be that many. The new dungeon obviously will be. But again, there's no drop protection. There's no point in doing all this stuff. This was a while ago. They said, following the success of these changes, we're confirming today that we won't be raising power level cap in Season 22, which I think was Witch. We've seen a ton of positive feedback on this decision, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so ton of positive feedback. And then you go on Twitter and Kujay hits it right on the head. It says, Bungie, sincere... Oh, this was an update. But Kujay also had another tweet basically just saying that they're artificially increasing player engagement, which is 100% true. I don't really see it here. Maybe it was a reply. But anyways, I know he said that because it's exactly how I felt, which I'll touch on in one sec. But Benj also says it well here. I didn't think it was possible, but my interest in Revenant has just got significantly lower. So like I said, when I was reading the TWAB, I didn't take in anything about the changes to Titans because I was just so pissed off that they're raising this. And then, yeah, it literally killed my excitement for the next season, because what I've loved in these past few seasons is just getting to jump into the stuff, test the new exotics. So again, if I go to my character, like I've got exotics ready to go. I'm going to turn them in at Rahul, do my testing. So yeah, I love that. It just gave me freedom to play how I want. Again, I'm a creator, so I'm different than pretty much the vast majority of the player base. Most people don't make content on this game, but it's like for me, it's like, okay, day one, I can get in there, get the new exotics, test them out. Then I'm going to grind my ass off to bring up my artifact power, which I also don't like, just so that I can unlock the mods that I want to play with, so that I can test them and tell you guys how they work. That's why I bounty stack. But again, I would love a world where the artifact is just unlocked. Like, what's the fucking point? I don't get the point of this progression because, like I said, it's not meaningful in any way. It's not like an Elden Ring where you feel your character getting stronger, your stats get higher, and you feel stronger. Everything is capped. My friends that don't play at all can jump into a Grandmaster and do it the same as me, who has hundreds of hours in a season, because we're capped. So fucking pick one. Either cap the people or make power level mean something. But right now, it's just an artificial grind and just for the sake of grind. And there's no point to it. And it's a huge piss off because now I'm going to have to try to level my character on base gear score. Oh, there was one other thing I really wanted to talk about. Speaking of that, let me go to my vault. Actually, Dim would probably show up better. So Dim, look at all these things. I've got every exotic in the game leveled up to 2000. Look at everything I have leveled up to 2000. Pretty much everything that I use, or it's 1990. And then I have some old weapons that still need infusing, like Salvager's Salvo's so good. But if I go to these, look, I have 3 no hesitations all at 2000. These are strictly for infusion fodder, which is annoying to have to fill my already full vault with infusion fodder in case I want to use Salvager's Salvo when I should just be able to use it in GM or this prodigal return. Say I need a GL with disorienting grenades for some certain GM. Well, now my power level is going to be lower for the GM unless I have a 2000 light level thing to infuse in it. So what they fucking need to bring, because look, there's hundreds of exotics in the game. And again, this is me. I have a bit of OCD. I can't stand my things not being up to level. Literally, I have every single exotic in the game for all characters leveled up to 2000. But I loved that I didn't have to do this shit every season because they took away that power increase. I didn't mind doing it in Final Shape because it's like, yeah, it's an expansion. What do you expect? Look, hanging on to bonds for infusion fodder into certain things. Because again, I hate not playing when I'm 2000 gear score. When all they need to do, upgrade modules, right here, you should just be able to upgrade your slot. So if I have a 2002 light level thing, I upgrade this. Now anything I put into this slot is 2002. So if this was 1900, once I equip it, my helmet is permanently 2002 no matter what I'm doing. So then my 2000 weapons, again, I talked about Salvager's Salvo. It's only at 1900 right now. Say I wanted to use it. Well, if my energy slot is at 2003, any weapon I put into the energy slot's going to be. Our vaults are at fucking 700, man. You expect us to do 700 upgrade modules? So they got rid of legendary shards. The only reason I was a hardcore player not swimming in legendary shards is because until they did those Pinnacle cap changes, I was always using upgrade modules to infuse into my gear because again, I also make build content. And so when I do a build, I want all my stuff at 2000 so that when I'm showing you like how hard it hits in a solo GM or whatever, that's how hard it's going to hit. Because if you have a 1900 weapon, again, I don't understand the damage scaling Mossy Max does, but it doesn't hit as hard as if it's at 2000. It's sort of based off your base power level, but it's also based off like what the weapon power level is. Again, I don't understand it, but that's how the game works. And it's annoying because then I know I'm not optimal, and I hate not being optimal. As you can see, that's why I have every single thing at 2000 level. Like, look at how much armor I have. I've upgraded all these things since the Final Shape launched. And now I'm just gonna have to do it all again for what? Because Bungie is trying to farm your engagement. There's one more. So yeah, when I made this video, why Destiny 2 sucks now, Bungie does not respect your time, but they greatly value it. This is 100% an anti-player move, and they're doing it just so that we're gonna be playing old content that we've had our fun with. Final Shape was a fucking banger, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to play Salvation's Edge 3 times a week anymore. My clan and I were sick of it by the time we were finishing up our red borders because it's a pretty daunting task. You're running 3 raids a week so that you can get all your red borders, and guys have jobs, guys have lives. And then to get 6 people together all the time, and I know you can LFG and blah, 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 but LFG can sometimes take even longer. And I know, like I said, I may be coming across as privileged or whiny or whatever, but like I said, there's no point to it. It's strictly just to get player engagement, and it's fucking bullshit. So anyways, that's it for my rant. Sorry if it was rambly. I think I got all my points across. I wanted to talk about how, yeah, they're just using it to farm engagement metrics, which is the same thing that they did with episodes. Episodes are just longer seasons with more time gating, and I fucking hate time gating. I've been preaching against that for years. And yeah, basically, I'm just pretty sick of their bullshit anti-player moves. And to their credit, they've been doing a lot of pro player moves, and that is why I made that video saying that Destiny 2 is the best it's ever been. But this is a huge step backwards, and I don't know if they'll have time to rescind it before the next season. I hope they do, but please speak out about it. Start raising hell, because Bungie does listen. I know it's kind of a meme, and they say we're listening and stuff. They do listen. I'm working on a video talking about examples of where they have listened, and let's hope they listen to this one, and let's be vocal about it, because it's fucking stupid. Again, with all the like light capping, like master and grandmaster and stuff, light level no longer matters. It could be anything, and then just make us minus 25 delta, make us contest mode, make us this, make us that. That's fine, because power level in the game as it currently stands doesn't really help you or do anything. All it does is hinder you if you're low. Same with Trials of Osiris. I have buddies that have stopped playing Destiny altogether, shout out Taylor and Zach, because they don't want to do this pointless grind on gear score, but then they don't want to play their favorite playlist, which is Trials, which is hurting like hell right now, by the way. But they don't want to play it because they play these guys that are 2000, so now they're not even getting in fair gunfights. And for what? Because Trials is an endgame playlist. Well, that's cool, that's fine that it's endgame, but light level doesn't matter in your current game anymore. So quit acting like it does. Anyways, like I said, I could keep going on. I have kept going on. I'm just ranting at this point. But yeah, fuck this change. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.